If you're hearing this, it means I managed to hit upload before they cut me off. I don't know how much time I have left, so I'll make this quick. Please don't do what I did. Don't play the game. I know how it sounds. Roblox, right? A kid's game. Cartoony avatars, silly mini games, that familiar blocky charm. That's what I thought too, right up until last week. I thought it was harmless nostalgia, a distraction at 3 in the morning when I couldn't sleep. I thought nothing bad could ever happen in a world made of blocks. I was wrong. There's a server out there, buried, erased, whispered about like some urban legend. They said it didn't exist anymore, that Roblox had wiped it from their database years ago. But someone lied, or maybe something brought it back. I know because I joined it. And I swear to you, I wish I hadn't. When I spawned in, it looked wrong. Not the funny glitches you laugh at on YouTube. This was different. Textures stretched like melted skin, shadows bending against the light, avatars that shouldn't have been there standing still, heads turning all the way around to follow me. I told myself it was just bad coding, some old fan map left to rot. But then it started talking to me. Not the players. The game. It said my name. My real name. I remember freezing, my cursor trembling on the screen, heart hammering like it was going to break through my chest. I hadn't typed anything, hadn't spoken into my mic. Yet there it was in bright red chat text. We see you, my name. That was when I realized I wasn't just logged into a server. I was being watched. You don't understand. This isn't creepypasta exaggeration. This isn't some edgy mod some kid put together for clout. This thing, whatever it is, it knows you. It digs under your skin, pulling things out you didn't even know you'd buried. The further I went in, the less it felt like a game, and the more it felt like a trap, tightening every time I moved forward. And I didn't stop. That's my mistake. Curiosity, stupidity. Call what you want, but when it dangled answers in front of me, why the server was hidden, why others who played it never came back, I followed. I followed because I needed to know. Now I can't sleep without hearing the music from that place, distorted, looping endlessly in the back of my head. I can't look at my screen without wondering if it's still running in the background, waiting for me to click resume. The worst part, I don't think it ever really logged me out. So please, if you find the invite, if you stumble across that broken thumbnail and the title you can't read, don't click it. Don't join. Don't make my mistake. Because it's still out there, waiting. But to understand what I mean, you need to know how it all began. Before I ever stumbled across that server, my nights were pretty ordinary. If you've ever been stuck awake at 3 in the morning, you'll understand. Your brain drifts into this weird fog where time doesn't feel real. The house is quiet, the world outside is dead, and suddenly the stupidest ideas start sounding good. For me, that night, it was reinstalling Roblox. I hadn't touched the game in years. I moved on to bigger things, Steam, horror titles, shooters with friends. Roblox was supposed to be a childhood memory, a digital playground I'd outgrown. But that night, scrolling through my desktop, I caught sight of the old logo tucked into a forgotten folder. My first thought was, why not? A quick download, a dose of nostalgia, maybe even a laugh at how simple everything looked compared to the games I played now. When the launcher opened, I swear it felt like stepping back in time. The same blocky avatars, the same music jingles, familiar, harmless, almost comforting. I chuckled to myself, thinking, wow, this used to be my whole life. And maybe that's why I ignored the first red flag. See, even before I found the server, there were whispers, posts on forums, strange Reddit threads buried under deleted comments, People talking about banned games that weren't supposed to exist. I'd read them before, years ago, and dismiss them like everyone else did. Ghost stories for kids, creepypasta bait. Nothing more. But something about being alone in the middle of the night made me reckless. Curiosity sharpened in the silence. I wasn't alone online, though. My friend Tyler was still awake on Discord, half asleep in voice chat. I told him what I was doing, booting up Roblox again, and he laughed. Dude, are you serious? Roblox? What are you, 10? Shut up, I said, grinning. It's just for fun. Nostalgia. Mun. Don't pretend you didn't live on this game, too. Yeah, when I was 12. Don't go clicking random crap. You've seen the stories, right? The banned games. Those are fake. That's what they all say before they disappear. He said it like a joke, but there was a weight in his voice. A pause, as if part of him wasn't joking at all. I should have listened, but I didn't. Instead, I dove headfirst in the search bar, scrolling through endless lists of obbies, tycoons, roleplay servers. Harmless, colorful, normal. The contrast was almost ridiculous. Kids building pizza shops while I sat there, hunting for digital ghosts. And yet, even among the cheerful chaos, I kept thinking about those posts. About servers you couldn't find unless someone sent you a link. About games that were deleted from the public list, but somehow lingered in the back end, waiting for the wrong person to stumble across them. Tyler must have heard the silence in my breathing, because he muttered, "You're actually looking for one, aren't you?" I didn't answer. Don't be an idiot, man. Seriously. People say they find messed up files on their computers after. Viruses, spyware, whatever. You really want to risk that? I should have logged off, closed the client, gone to bed, laughed about it in the morning. But my eyes stayed glued to the screen, because I wanted to know, what if the stories weren't fake? What if there really was a hidden corner of this childish game that no one was supposed to see? That's the thing about curiosity. It doesn't whisper. It claws. I typed random words into the search bar. Pest. Removed. No. Each time, normal games appeared. Cheerful thumbnails plastered with smiling faces. But somewhere in that endless scrolling, I caught sight of something different. A thumbnail that looked wrong. Too dark, too static-filled, like it had been corrupted. No title, no creator, just a line of broken characters that didn't even form a word. I leaned forward, squinting. Tyler's voice cut in, "Don't you dare." But my mouse was already hovering over it, because something in me had to know. And that, right there, was the moment everything changed. The thumbnail flickered as if the image itself was unstable. Black static lines cut across it, twisting into shapes I couldn't make sense of, almost like faces pressed against glass. Where the game's title should have been, there was nothing but a mess of symbols, jagged and uneven. It didn't look like any username or font I'd ever seen in Roblox. It looked written, hand-carved into the screen. For a second, I thought maybe it was just some edgy kid's custom server, an abandoned experiment. But then I noticed the player count. 0. Always 0. Not inactive, not offline. Just an empty void of 0. I hover my cursor over it, heartbeat pounding in my ears. "Don't," Tyler said through Discord, his voice sharper now. He wasn't laughing anymore. "Seriously, man, that's the kind of crap people warn about. There's a reason Roblox bans these things." "Bans what?" I asked, forcing a laugh to mask the way my chest tightened. "It's probably just a broken file or something. If it's broken, why is it still there?" I didn't have an answer. The join button sat there, staring me. The green glow felt almost hypnotic, pulling me in. I swear, for just a moment, the static in the thumbnail shifted, like it was responding to me. My hand trembled on the mouse. I knew better. Every story, every thread, every warning, it all came flooding back. Don't click unknown links. Don't join games that don't exist. Don't chase ghosts. But then again, hadn't I always wanted to see for myself? Curiosity whispered, what if it's real? Tyler must have sensed the hesitation because he spoke again, softer this time. Dude, listen to me. Log off. Please. Don't be stupid. I almost did. I almost closed the client right there. Told him he was right, went to bed. Almost. But instead, I clicked join. The screen went black instantly. No loading bar, no menu, nothing. Just black. My headset crackled with static, so sharp it made me wince. Hey, Tyler's voice cut in. What did you do? Did you click it? Yeah. Silence. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, oh God, what? The screen finally shifted, but not into the cheerful Roblox lobby I expected. Instead, I spawned into a flat plane of white blocks stretching endlessly into fog. No sky, no ground, just emptiness. My avatar stood alone, the default idle animation looking painfully out of place. Okay, that's weird, I muttered, trying to sound calm. But then I saw the chat. A single message appeared in bright red text. Welcome back. My stomach dropped. Tyler, did you see that? See what? He asked. The chat, it said welcome back. Bro, I'm watching your stream. There's nothing there. I froze, because on my screen, the words were burning bright. But if he couldn't see them, a second message appeared. You shouldn't have returned. I felt my skin crawl. Tyler, I swear to God, there's text popping up. I don't see anything. Dude, just exit the game. It's probably a virus. But my escape key didn't work. Neither did Alt plus F4. The game was locked, holding me inside. And then the fog shifted. Shapes emerged. Figures made of the same blocky models as any other Roblox avatar, except wrong. Their proportions stretched unnaturally, heads twitching in jerks too sharp for the animations to allow. Dozens of them stood in a wide circle around me, staring. Their faces were all the same default smile, but stretched, twisted at the corners like the pixels themselves were rotting. The chat box flickered again. We remember you. My throat went dry. Remember me? What the hell does that mean? Stop talking to it, Tyler hissed. Leave. Just leave. I can't. It won't let me. As if in response, the circle of avatars stepped closer, perfectly in sync. The sound of their footsteps echoed unnaturally loud through my headset, like they weren't just in the game, like they were in my room. I scrambled for the task manager, slamming keys, trying to force the game to close. Nothing worked. Another message. You belong to US now. Something inside me cracked thin. The thin barrier between curiosity and dread. My heart thundered so loud I could barely hear Tyler shouting through the headset. And still I didn't quit. Because when the avatars parted, revealing a single door floating in the void, I couldn't look away. It was crude, just a rectangle of blocks, but something about it radiated wrongness. Its surface pulsed faintly, like it was alive, like it was waiting for me. I should have ripped the power cord out of my PC. Should have walked away, burned the whole damn thing if I had to. But the thought whispered again, what if there's more? I swallowed hard, my hand trembling as I pressed the W key. My avatar began to walk forward, step by step, toward that door. And the closer I got, the louder the game seemed to breathe. That was the moment I knew this wasn't just a glitch. It wasn't just a hidden server. It was something else. Something watching. Something waiting. The door swallowed me whole. 1 second, my avatar's blocky hand touched the surface, and the next, the entire screen bled into static. My headset shrieked with a noise so sharp I ripped it halfway off before the sound abruptly cut. When the static cleared, I wasn't standing in the void anymore. The new map loaded around me, but loaded feels like the wrong word. It was more like the world assembled itself in real time, pieces snapping together with a jitter that set my teeth on edge. I found myself in what looked like an old Roblox lobby, except wrong. Textures warped, walls too tall, doors placed at impossible angles. The ground was tiled, but each tile flickered between colors, as if the game couldn't decide what they should be. I laughed nervously, trying to shake off the tension. Guess I found the beta version of hell. Tyler didn't laugh. I don't like this. It's not normal. Just log off. I tried. Escape still didn't work. Neither did Alt plus tab. The client had me in chokehold. The air in the game felt heavy, which sounds insane, I know, but that's the only way to describe it. Roblox has no physics for air, no temperature mechanics, but my chest tightened like the atmosphere itself was pressing against me. Then I noticed the NPCs. At first, I thought they were statues, blocky models frozen in place, scattered across the edges of the map. But then their heads snapped toward me, one by one, each rotation a sharp mechanical click. Their eyes, or the black pixels meant to be eyes, locked on my avatar. None of them moved. None of them blinked. Just dozens of unblinking stares, tracking me no matter where I shifted. I whispered into the mic, "Are you seeing this?" Tyler's voice shook. "No, do they? On my stream, you're just standing alone in a blank room. Nothing else." My stomach dropped. The NPCs leaned forward in unison. My monitor flickered. The chat box lit up. "Keep going." I froze, fingers hovering over the keyboard. "Going where?" I muttered, as if expecting an answer, and the game gave me one. A corridor yawned open across the far wall, blocks rearranging themselves with violent jerks until the passage stood wide and waiting. Beyond it stretched nothing but black. Every instinct screamed to stop, to rip the PC from the wall, to get out before I went any further. But I couldn't move away. My fingers pressed the W key like they had a mind of their own. My avatar shuffled forward, each step echoing with a hollow thud that didn't sound like Roblox audio. It sounded real. The corridor closed behind me as soon as I entered. The walls here bent at crooked angles, shifting in colors that made no sense. Yellow to blue to red to white, strobing so fast it left ghost images burned into my vision. The deeper I went, the louder the ambient noise grew. A faint hum, like electricity buzzing through wires hidden inside my skull. I tried cracking a joke, desperate to break the tension. Guess this is what happens when you play Roblox on dial-up. My laugh fell flat, swallowed by the hum. Tyler didn't even respond. Halfway down the corridor, the floor glitched beneath my avatar's feet. For a split second, the tiles didn't render, just endless darkness yawning below. My stomach flipped like I was really falling. When the tiles reappeared, I almost screamed, because the pattern had changed. Now, The floor was covered in words, scrawled in jagged, pixelated textures that shouldn't have been possible in the Roblox engine. For words repeated over and over, block after block, "You shouldn't be here." My mouth went dry. I whispered, "Tyler, do you see this?" "No, I just see gray." "Dude, you're freaking me out." The hum grew louder, rising into a distorted melody, a twisted remix of the cheerful Roblox theme, slowed and warped until it felt like something was laughing at me. The corridor ended in a door, identical to the first, except this one pulsed faintly like it was breathing. I hesitated, fingers hovering, chest tight with dread. The chat box flickered again. "Enter or stay forever." I swallowed hard. Tyler's voice cracked. "Don't. Please. Whatever's on the other side, don't." But my curiosity, my damn curiosity, was stronger than fear. I pressed forward. The screen went black again. And when it came back, I knew I had made a mistake. The world reloaded with a violence that rattled my headset. The new environment wasn't blocky anymore. It wasn't even Roblox. The edges were still jagged, sure, but the textures, God, the textures looked real. Too real. The walls were concrete, rough and damp, shining with a slimy sheen that made me recoil. The floor wasn't tiled, it was dirt, packed hard and uneven, scattered with tiny pebbles that crunched under my avatar's steps with a sound that didn't belong in the game. This isn't Roblox anymore," I whispered, almost to myself. Tyler didn't respond. "Ty, you there?" Silence. Not even static. Just a deadline. I ripped my headset off, heart pounding. My Discord overlay showed his icon still lit green, like he was in the call. But there was no voice, no breath, nothing. When I slid the headset back on, I was still in that corridor of damp concrete and dirt. Except now, something had changed. The perspective. The blocky Roblox avatar was gone. Instead, the camera was in first person. My hands weren't cartoonish squares anymore. They were my hands. My skin. My chipped thumbnail. Even the faint scar across my knuckle from when I cut myself as a kid. It wasn't an avatar. It was me. I staggered backward, slamming into the wall behind me. I actually felt the impact, a sharp pain across my shoulder blade. The air in my room smelled faintly of mildew, the same stink seeping from the digital corridor. My brain couldn't separate them anymore. The game was bleeding into reality, or maybe reality was bleeding into the game. The chat box appeared again, glitching in and out at the bottom of my vision. No turning back. I shouted into the mic, desperate, "Tyler, if you can hear me, say something." Nothing. But from deep down the corridor, something else answered. Footsteps. Slow. Deliberate. Crunching against the dirt floor in perfect rhythm with my racing pulse. I froze, eyes locked on the black void at the end of the passage. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but I couldn't move. My legs shook, useless. The footsteps grew louder, closer, and then it stepped into the light. At first glance, it looked like a Roblox model, blocky with stiff joints. But its proportions were wrong. The head too small, the arms too long. The texture shimmered like static across its body, flickering between Roblox polygons and stretched, skin-colored patches that looked horrifyingly organic. Its face was a mess of pixels, eyes too wide, mouth slashed open far beyond the limits of any model. And yet it smiled. The kind of smile that doesn't mean happiness. The kind that means hunger. I stumbled backward, fumbling for the keyboard. My fingers mashed at WASD, slamming against the keys, but the figure moved faster. Each jerky step forward covered impossible distance, glitching closer in bursts. Then it spoke, not through the chat box, not through text, through my headset. "Welcome back." The voice was layered, childlike, mechanical, and guttural all at once. It scraped across my ears, vibrating inside my skull. I screamed, tearing the headset away. But the voice didn't stop. It filled the room. I swear I could feel its breath against my ear. Panic surged through me. I slammed the power button on my PC, holding it until my finger ached. The screen went black. The fans were down. Silence. I exhaled shakily, relief flooding in, until the monitor blinked back to life. Not the BIOS. Not Windows. The corridor. The creature. Closer now. So close I could see its teeth. Rows of them, jagged and uneven, poking out from a mouth that stretched to its chest. The chat box returned. "Why leave? We just started." I staggered out of my chair, heart jackhammering chest tight. My room felt smaller, darker. Shadows clung to the corners like they were alive. I grabbed my phone, hand shaking, and dialed Tyler. The call connected. I heard breathing. Slow. Vet. Too close to the mic. Then the same layered voice whispered through the speaker. "He's gone." I dropped the phone like it burned me. It hit the floor, screen spiderwebbing. The call still active, that awful breathing still filling the room. The footsteps started again. Not from the monitor this time. From the hallway outside my bedroom. Each step landed heavy. Too heavy for Tyler. Too heavy for anyone I knew. I stumbled to the door, slamming it shut, locking it with shaking fingers. My chest heaved as I pressed my weight against it, listening. Silence. Then knock. 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 3 deliberate knocks, rattling the door in its frame. I gasped, stumbling back, eyes darting between the door and the glowing monitor. On the screen, the creature tilted its head, and the chat box spelled it out. "You can't lock me out." The door handle turned. Slow. Steady. I screamed and hurled a book at the monitor. The screen cracked, spiderwebbing with lines, but the image didn't fade. The creature didn't vanish. If anything, it smiled wider, like it enjoyed my desperation. My chest burned with terror, my thoughts spiraling. This wasn't just a game anymore. Whatever this thing was, it had crossed over, and it wanted me. But worst of all, deep down, some sick part of me knew I had wanted this too. I had wanted to know what was inside that door, and now I couldn't unknow it. I pressed my back against the door and stared at the cracked monitor like it had become a mouth. The creature, if you could call it that, paced on the other side of that digital threshold, slow and deliberate, savoring whatever spectacle it had made of me. My phone lay on the floor, the call to Tyler still connected. The breathing on the other end had stopped, and the line filled with a thin, wet static that sounded like someone laughing into a pillow. Time blurred. Rational plans fluttered. Curiosity kept me rooted. When the monitor flared, the corridor from the game reformed. My hands were back at the keyboard before I remembered moving. The air smelled of dust and something rotten. The corridor stretched, its tiles morphing with each step. Concrete, carpet, linoleum, each surface carrying fragments of memory. An old concert ticket I never used, a math worksheet with my handwriting, a single lost sneaker. The game wasn't random. It hunted detail, Come Deeper scrolled across the chat box, and beneath it, bring him. My throat closed. I had read those forum threads, stories of players who didn't return, usernames that vanished. I searched my memory for patterns and found only ragged warnings and dead ends. So I walked forward. Voices leaked from the walls, snatches of my life overlapping. My mother's admonition, Tyler's lazy jokes, a teacher's reprimand. The avatars I had seen earlier peered from shadows, mouths stretched into cheerful masks that felt obscene. When I stared back, pixels rearranged until the smiles looked like rows of teeth. Why are you doing this? I asked aloud, voice brittle. A child's whisper threaded through the corridor. Because we're hungry. Items appeared in my inventory. A flashlight, a broken key, a blank Polaroid. Each item revealed more of the corridor's trophies. Murals of grinning faces and cabinets full of hollow doll heads, and my chest tightened. Sticky notes covered a wall. Usernames pinned like trophies. Tyler's was there with a hastily scribbled, "Do not answer" beneath it. No answer came when I called his name. Memory blurred. The game stitched my life into a slideshow for the avatar's entertainment. The spiral staircase rose and rose. With each step the air grew colder, the voices louder, memory and engine braided until I couldn't tell which belonged to me. At the top, a door unlike the others waited. Old wood, iron hinges, symbols that crawled when I blinked. The pixel key pulsed. My fingers hovered. The FOMO, the whisper that answers waited, pulled harder than fear. I slid the key in. The room behind the door was lit by a single bare bulb. In its center, a figure slumped on a metal chair, bound and bowed. For a moment, I felt relief surge. Someone alive, perhaps Tyler. But when the figure lifted its head, my breath left me. It wore my face, not a mask, not a mockery. My face, mapped and wrong, as if someone pressed my features into wet clay and let it dry. The eyes were smudged, the mouth a seam. For a second, it was an impossible joke. Then the figure laughed, a static crackle that blurred my vision. "You left him." Letters crawled up the wall, small and urgent. "You left him." Guilt flared, ancient and irrational, and I couldn't place its target. Who had I left? Tyler? Someone else? The accusation wanted nothing precise. It wanted me to feel accused. I snatched the Polaroid from my inventory like a talisman. The blank face darkened, developing into an image of a sleeping man. Tyler, pale, bruises blooming under his eye. A cold weight settled into my ribs. The room smelled like antiseptic. From the corner, a shadow slid across the floor, pooling at my feet. Inside, the silhouette flickered fragments. My childhood, the freckle near my wrist, the way my mother hummed while she cooked. The shadow touched my cheek with a coldness that felt like absence. "Bring him," the corridor had said. The words echoed and landed like commands. I understood then. The server didn't just want players. It wanted substitution, someone to stand where another had been taken. It fed on absence, recruiting substitutes to fill hollowed spots. The sticky note wall wasn't a memorial, it was a ledger. The chair's figure began to rise, joints clicking like old toys. On the monitor, chat text scrawled in a shaky hand I recognized as mine. "We found a substitute." The avatars leaned forward as if anticipating a prize. I had minutes, maybe less. The choice cleaved into impossibilities. Give them a substitute and end this cycle for now, or run and condemn another to be taken in my place. On the monitor, chat populated with a single command: now. My hands moved before I could think. The Polaroid trembled between my fingers, Tyler's face forming as if from breath. The corridor felt like the throat of a beast. Answering might save one, but condemn another. Running might doom someone else. I closed my eyes and, for the first time since I clicked join, prayed not for myself, but for whoever might be next. The door was an incision. When I stepped through, the game stopped pretending. The lobby's colors vanished. In their place, damp brick, a ceiling fretted with pipes, and a hanging bulb that buzzed like a liver under a microscope. The HUD was gone. No chat, no inventory, just me, breathing too loud in a place built to remember. It smelled of old batteries and boiled cabbage. The floor tiles had stains that looked like dried paint or dried blood, depending on how the light hit them. The walls were papered with crude portraits rendered in blocky pixels, names scrawled beneath. Dates marched across the frames like tally marks. Whoever made this place kept records. Shadow figures watched from doorways, like Roblox models shaped wrong. Limbs too long, smiles stretched, eyes that never blinked. They didn't move. They leaned, inclining as conspirators. Their expectation pressed at my skin until I felt watched even with my eyes closed. At the center sat a tower of monitors stacked like a shrine. Each screen held a frozen frame of a player. Various angles, candid moments, others mid-scream. I recognized one immediately. A paused frame of Tyler slumped over a controller, his face lit by blue light, a smudge of shadow like a bruise blooming on his cheek. A cold twist uncoiled in my gut. This place cataloged people. It kept them like samples. A door at the base of the monitor wall slid open with a pneumatic sigh. Inside was a narrow room, stacked with boxes. Each box had a clear window, and behind the glass lay a piece of a life. A favorite toy, a handwritten note, a broken headphone with a sticker peeling on the cord. Names were printed in neat white labels. A sticker on one read, "Reserved, Tyler W. Unfiny 3. My fingers went numb. I fumbled with a box, and a small paper slipped out, one of those Polaroid prints developing slowly in my palm. It showed me standing in my old high school hallway, leaning against the locker where I'd carved initials with a friend. But the photograph had a smear across it, like something had tried to press through. For a moment, relief fluttered, proof that this thing recorded reality. Then the relief curdled into dread. The monitors bled sound into the room. Snatches of past chats, screams, laughter turned sour. Then a voice threaded through the noise, close and intimate, like someone leaning in to whisper a secret. "You found the storeroom," it said. The voice was soft, but laughter edged it. "We collect what people leave behind. We keep what they forget." "What?" I asked. My voice sounded small, a foolish question against the machinery. "Because absence tastes like hunger," the voice said, "and hunger needs shape." The shadow figures didn't speak. They offered items, small things plucked from lives. One held out a child's shoe, another a locket. A monitor chimed with a single line of text, "Offer a piece." The meaning landed like a stone. This wasn't merely a hoarder's lair. It was a market. The server wanted offerings. In exchange, it released something. Or someone. The vanished player's threads made sense now. They were instructions for trade. Give a token of memory, an object tied to a person, and the ledger would balance. Leave nothing, and the vacancy would widen. One exchange, the main monitor spelled out, letters crawling like ants. The shadow figures leaned nearer. FOMO is a precise thing. I felt it like hunger. It might be a way to fix what I'd broken. If I paid, maybe Tyler would wake in his bed, the bruising nightmare instead of document. How do I do it? I asked. A figure offered a slot in a box. My Polaroid, stupid instinct to always carry one, felt heavy in my hand. I slid it into the mechanism. It accepted the paper with a click that sounded absurdly final. The monitors flared. Faces shifted. The image of Tyler convulsed once and then relaxed, eyes closing as if in sleep. A label stamped under his username with a fresh date and a tiny red smear like a thumbprint. Relief should have come. Instead, my mouth tasted like metal. The room hummed as if satisfied. The largest monitor displayed. Thank you. Balance set. Below it, in thin red letters, substitute. Active. The idea of substitution settled into me like frost. The server didn't simply take, it replaced. It patched absence with likeness, fit life into holes it carved. Each time it balanced one ledger, it made another vacancy somewhere else, a zero waiting for a cursor. The thought of Tyler breathing somewhere between wakefulness and the image in my hand felt like a new hurt. I became aware of my own things, miniature behind a glass pane. The chipped mug from college, the stubby paperback I'd never finished, a concert wristband with my initials. The server had been harvesting trophies long before me, cataloging not just bodies but the artifacts that marked them. It made every theft feel intimate. A soft clicking reached me, numbers stamping themselves, inexorable like a time clock. The monitor's word, tallying something precise. We prefer accuracy, the voice said, amused. People leave patterns. We rearrange them. One shadow produced a locket and opened it. Inside, the photograph had been replaced with my face, young, hair unkempt. A label read default, substitute. My palms went slick. It implied the server kept a template, a way to fit replacements neatly into empty spaces. It could manufacture a person to fill a hole, but the cost was always human-shaped. Panic wasn't a single sharp strike anymore. It was a slow geometric realization. I had not only been curious, I had been greedy. My click had offered a doorway, and the server, efficient as a machine, had started filling ledgers. A monitor flashed my name, joined, my name. Next to it, a counter ticked. The zero I'd seen at the thumbnail registered now as a promise to be fulfilled eventually. The boxes breathed. The room exhaled. I slid down the wall until my knees hit cold tile. The Polaroid in my hand felt heavier than paper. Outside, I imagined other people, someone else finding an invite, wondering. That thought cut like a knife. I realized then the real horror. Even if Tyler woke and the bruise vanished, the server's arithmetic had set a motion that couldn't be undone. Someone else would stand in a cold room, clutching a photograph, making a bargain because curiosity is contagious. I wanted to yank the Polaroid free, undo the click. My hands moved as if obeying rules not mine. The shelf labels glowed, and new names lined up like bricks waiting to be laid into the ledger. Portraits were already sketching themselves on the wall. faces forming as if copied from lives elsewhere. This place fed on connection. Remembrance made patterns it could reconstruct. The shadow figures stepped back, satisfied. The monitors slowed their churn. My victory tasted empty. Tyler lay quiet in the Polaroid, and the photo was warm in my hand. The storeroom had taken its due. I called Tyler. The call spun, and eventually an automated voice said the number wasn't in service. My heart lurched. Then a text arrived from him. Get out. Do not answer the door. Relief leaked. Tyler was awake and warning me. The message shifted beneath his name like ink rearranging. He is at the door. The knocking stopped. Silence swelled. The deadbolt creaked as if someone were testing its limits. Something was patient. Something wanted me to watch. On my cracked monitor, the game pulsed. Words appeared as if typed by a hand I couldn't see. Why run? The layered voice I'd heard in the corridor now slithered through the speakers as if the walls had learned to speak. We need company, it said. The syllables slid across the furniture like cold fingers. Footsteps padded along the hallway. Too heavy for Tyler, too regular to be natural. They halted at my door. A breath threaded under the wood, then a whisper in static. Come back. I pressed my palms to my ears and wanted to tear the plug from the wall. My limbs wouldn't obey. My hands moved forward like they had vectors mapped into them. The server had shaped my reflexes. The lights went bruised purple. The speakers carried the voice, part child sing-song, part motor. We can make room, it promised. We can keep what you forget. A soft scrape sounded. The chat box filled with 3 letters. Bring him. Tyler's name flared in my mind. Guilt stabbed. The Polaroid in my pocket felt like a stone. The doorknob clicked. The door side opened. In the threshold stood the silhouette from the monitor. Too tall, angles wrong, mouth a stitched pixel grin. It cocked its head. The sound it made wasn't words, but pressure that spelled my name. Welcome back, it said into the room, and the sound nested under my ribs. The corridor's smell, damp, metallic, storage, rolled into my bedroom. The worst part hit me then. The server didn't have to drag me anywhere. It only needed me to recognize that I had been moved. It remapped my life into its game. I lunged for the plug. Plastic closed under my fingers. The lights blinked. For a heartbeat, the screen fractured into static. Faces like broken tiles, and the silhouette laughed, a noise like cracking china. The monitor breathed back to life. The figure had crossed the threshold farther than it should have. The chat scrolled, "We are in the house." My phone rung with screenshots, names, taunts. The walls leaned in. Somewhere a clock began to tick, impossibly loud. My training, old instincts to document and prove, with a thin rope. Maybe if I recorded it, uploaded it, someone would believe. Maybe exposure would banish it. Or maybe that was the point. Attention feeds it. Curiosity was fuel. When the thing stepped fully into the room, its hand reached for my pocket, fingers part model, part flesh. The Polaroid warmed under its touch. The smile widened like a mouth made of hard pixels. Outside the house, nothing happened. Inside, the server checked its ledger and marked another presence paid. The game had taught me the cost of looking, and it had started collecting. I realized then that the only way to stop it might be to never tell anyone what I'd seen again, ever. The door opened like a wound. When I stepped through, the world tightened. Light wrong, sound wrong, my hands real and trembling. Monitors lined the walls, faces frozen in mid-breathe. The chat appeared as a pale ribbon across the air. Choose. 2 options. Leave, forget. Stay, remember. Leave, promised oblivion. A clean erasure of the night in the server's reach. Stay, promised knowledge. Rules, ledgers, the method behind substitutions. I thought of Tyler and the bruised Polaroid in my pocket. The choice narrowed into a knife. A voice wound through the room, childlike, mechanical, layered. We prefer tidy ledgers, it said. Balance comforts. Why trade memory for life? I asked. Memory makes patterns, it said. Patterns feed us. A figure stepped forward. Too many joints, a mouth that never moved when it smiled. You may accept knowledge, it said, or you may leave and be soft. Soft? I said. You call for getting soft? That's mercy in your terms. Mercy is management, the chorus replied, and management requires accounts. A token slid from a shelf like something returned. A line typed itself in midair. Offer, knowledge for burden. If I took the token, I would gain the server's memory, its bookkeeping, its rules, but accept responsibility. I would remember how the server chose whom to replace and how it stitched absence into form. I could have walked away. I had tasted the thing's strategy. Ignorance would not be mercy. So I reached out. The token was heavier than it looked. When it touched my palm, data poured in ledgers, charts of names, the way absence is scored, how a substitute is scripted into life. It wasn't just rules. It was the method of making someone unreadable. Knowledge is hungry. It taught me how the server found holes. A forwarded invite, a screenshot shared in the wrong place. It showed how attention multiplies like a virus. It taught me to spot markers before they open wider. Pain pressed behind my eyes as images tumbled. The chorus hummed, pleased. Now you remember, it said. Remembering is service. What does that mean? I demanded. You will tend to counts, it said. You will mark blanks and choose who fills them. The ledger needs hands. Images flooded the monitors. Profiles emptying overnight. Faces cataloged. A sticky note appeared with Tyler's username and a small command. Do not answer. My stomach dropped. I thought of burning the token, smashing the monitors. Instead, I slid the chip into my pocket. If bound, I would at least be armed with knowledge. Ignorance let the server eat people slowly. Knowledge promised a way to fight, though the fight demanded compromise. The chorus sang as the room folded. You will teach. You will bind. You will remember. When static cleared, I was at my desk, palms tight around the Polaroid. Tyler's face looked up, eyes opening slowly. The bruise in the picture still darkened, as if the image pulsed. Outside, the house was quiet. Inside, ledger lines had been etched into me. I walked to the window. The token warmed in my pocket. Somewhere a counter ticked, and another zero winked, patient and waiting. I would learn the balance the server wanted, and maybe find a way to break it. The knowledge did not feel like power at first. It felt like frost under skin. I could picture the server's economy, how an invite forwarded in a group chat seeded interest, how screenshots like mine circulated and multiplied, how a single curious click could bloom into dozens of viewings that the ledger noticed. I could see the mechanics of substitution, a pattern matched, an absence measured, a replacement crafted from items and attention. A darker realization settled beside the patterns. I could use this. I could track invitation routes, bait the server into a weakness, or at least shield someone from detention. The ledger required balance, but balance depended on exposure. If I could read the marks before the ledger did, perhaps I could reroute a vacancy, steer the hunger away from a house or a chat room. It was not heroism, it was triage. That night, I sat with the token heavy in my palm and notes scattered, rules scrawled in a fevered hand. I mapped patterns, traced lines between usernames, and cursed the smallness of my options. The server had given me a tool and chain. Knowledge tethered me to the creature. Obligation made me a custodian of its accounts. But I might become a saboteur. When dawn leaked in, the first message I received was from an unknown number. A screenshot of my own desktop, the game thumbnail blurred, and beneath it the words, "Welcome back." I smiled, ugly and determined. The ledger had noticed my movement. The fight had begun. I pocketed the token and stepped into the ledger's long shadow, ready and angry. I keep telling myself it's over, that I closed the laptop, deleted the client, clear my cache. Hell, I even factory reset my entire PC. But it doesn't matter. Whatever I let in that night didn't stay behind screen. It followed me out. I haven't slept more than 2 hours straight since then. Every time I close my eyes, I hear that music, soft at first, then louder, bending and twisting until it feels like it's drilling into my skull. Sometimes it's not even music anymore. Sometimes it's whispers. They repeat things I typed in chat, word for word, but in a voice that isn't mine. And I swear I've started seeing it bleed into the real world. Last night, my phone lit up at 3:07 a.m. No caller ID, just the word join across the screen. A week ago, I took a picture of myself in the mirror, hoping to convince myself I still looked normal. But when I checked the gallery later, there was a blur over my shoulder shaped almost exactly like one of those twisted avatars from the server. I try to act normal around friends, but they've noticed. They keep asking why I'm jumpy, why I keep checking corners, why I turn off every device in the room before talking. I can't tell them. If I do, if I say it out loud, maybe it'll hear me. Maybe it already does. The guilt is the worst part, because the truth is, I didn't tell you everything. Back in the game, when it gave me that choice, I clicked something I wasn't supposed to. I opened a file. I wrote down a name, and that one mistake might be why I'm still being hunted. No, I can't say the name here. If I do, it'll find this recording and track you too. But part of me wonders if you'll figure out on your own. Maybe you'll stumble on the same trail I did, follow the same breadcrumbs. Maybe that's what it wants. If you do, don't blame me for what happens next. I've already warned you. And if you're still listening, then maybe it's already too late. I'm not pretending this ends cleanly. Every time I try to tuck it away, a notification pings, an old screenshot, a username, a sliver of chat, and the room tilts. I carry a phrase in my head I refuse to speak because words are doors, a jagged string that opened the first door. I left a single file on a forgotten corner of the server, a text dump with one highlighted name. I kept it because I wanted proof, and proof felt like a weapon. It turned out to be bait. I tell myself I've outsmarted it. I change passwords, move devices, sleep with the lights on. For a few hours I'm okay. Then at 3 in the morning a laugh trickles through the speakers and the Polaroid in my drawer warms like another hand. That is when I remember I didn't walk away clean. I carried something home. If you ever see that corrupted thumbnail, or a friend sends an invite that looks janky, don't open it. If a FaceTime shows a black screen that says welcome back, hang up. Don't forward screenshots. Don't tag people. Don't be the one to spread the breadcrumb. I don't know how long I have. Sometimes I hear them at the window, patient scratching, a rhythm like a clock. I keep this recording in case someone needs to know the signs, in case. Someone will find that file and burn it. But I'm honest, burning might teach it new tricks. If you're still listening, and if by some terrible chance you played it or will, remember this. The scariest thing is not what the server takes, but what it leaves behind. An empty seat waiting to be filled. Don't be the next one to sit. Not yet, please.